Hello everyone, I'm Michael Eyssimont. I'm CMST 192, and I will be talking to you about ocean acidification. The latest global coral reef assessment estimates that 19% of the world's coral reefs are dead. Their major threats include warming sea surface temperatures and expanding seawater acidification. This is extremely alarming, and if we do not act, many large groups will become extinct. Aquatic reliant communities will be in peril. People of Earth, we need to wake up and start facing the facts and do something about ocean acidification. This may not seem like a big concern for everyone, but it's beyond serious and detrimental, and we need to do something. It doesn't seem to pose a threat to terrestrial environments and industrial life. However, ocean acidification will result in major environmental damages and economic suffering. I have analyzed literature, including scholarly articles in peer-reviewed journals, as well as educated myself in this field. The people I've spoken to have either majored in this field academically or dedicated their life's work and research to this major issue. This issue is about excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which is contributing to a more acidic pH level in the surface of our oceans. These emissions are either caught by the waves or dissolved from air straight into our oceans. People must be made aware and become more educated of our oceans acidifying and the threats that this could pose on their livelihood. There's a threat to all marine life. This is due to shellfish being unable to produce shells because of the carbon dioxide becoming tricarbonate. These shellfish are a major contributor to what keeps our coral reefs alive. Our coral reefs are dying extremely fast. This is a fact that has been documented thoroughly. Ocean acidification will affect the food we eat and many rely on. A large percentage of the world relies primarily on seafood for food. We rely on coral reefs for food, protection, medicine, and even money. Many communities, such as ones in Australia, rely on tourism and recreation of these beautiful coral reefs that have become a dependent for their economic success. In this speech, I plan to discuss why and how importantly we need our oceans and how detrimental carbon dioxide being dissolved into them at this rate can be. I will explain how limiting your carbon footprint can help our oceans immensely if everyone buys in. I will explain steps that everyone can take in order to make this less of a concern for human and marine life, and how if we accomplish our goal to limit or end ocean acidification, we and our marine species, which of many it is already too late for, will be better off. We need to increase biodiversity in our oceans, but more importantly, maintain the biodiversity that we have left. If the little fish that rely on coral reefs to survive because it is their habitat, the bigger fish will die out due to common food chain facts. Many communities rely on marine life for food. They need this diversity in the ocean to be maintained so that they can continue to fish and hunt appropriately to survive. We need it because many communities rely on the tourism money that is brought to these coral reefs. Sorry, I had to get my glasses. We can move towards more renewable energy, such as solar, wind, and geothermal resources. This can be done by legislation, technology, and increasing funding for further research to improve environmental technology. We can fund schools to do this through state governments. We can have primarily vegetable diet and reduce the amount of meats in diets and reduce livestock practices, which emit carbon and greenhouse gases in the air. This is the biggest cause of carbon into our air. Banning all carbon emissions at this point is not going to happen, but moving towards sustainable infrastructure and positive practices can limit ocean acidification. And when I mean positive practices, I mean using solar technology as opposed to coal, for example. Carbon dioxide wouldn't be dissolved into the ocean or captured by waves, so shellfish could survive and they could go on to do their part in our ecosystem. This is crucial and a truly positive step that we can succeed in. There's a lot of resources from coral reefs that humans use physically, such as food, protection, or medicine, where underdeveloped countries use medicine. from these coral reefs. The medicine and way of life, again, can be kept in these communities if governments of countries such as the US and ones in Asia pass laws that reduce carbon dioxide emissions. Talk to your local government in your town or state about recycling and solar power, for instance. It all starts with conversation between educated and undereducated parties. Many communities, such as ones in Australia, where economies depend on tourism of the Great Coral Reef, would be lost and maybe go bankrupt. Start with your diet. Buy locally, limit the amount of livestock you eat. Limit the palm oil you eat from forests in Indonesia, where deforestation is causing so much greenhouse gases. Then look at your transportation. Drive less, bike more, and limit flying on airplanes if possible. This is an individual step everyone can take that will make a huge difference if we all buy in as a planet Earth, not as an individual. Next, recycling and composting will reduce the amount of waste in landfills, which emit the third largest amount of methane emissions through hotspots. These steps alone, if many or most did so, could be the first step to ending ocean acidification and would easily help our coral reefs and the marine life communities and individuals who rely on them. It is evident that ocean acidification is a serious harm on marine life and therefore humans. We are in dire need of these ecosystems that provide humans with more than we could ever give back. And the steps we could take individually will help, but still will not be enough. We will also need legislature and a president and world leaders who can put laws into place and help end us humans from ending our oceans. Coral reefs around the world are dying, 19% of them to never be around again, and that number is growing. Don't give up on how you were brought up. Don't give in to how you were brought up to live. You will kill our oceans, communities, and even individuals who rely on such marine life to support them and their families. Wake up and live with the world, not against it. We cannot win the fight. Thank you.